Look, not every hit drama deserves the hype. Some of them looked amazing, had the star power, even trended worldwide. But let's be honest, they kinda flopped once the credits rolled. Today we're diving into 10 K-dramas that were overrated AF. I'm talking about the ones with a killer trailer but zero emotional payoff. The ones that started strong but face-planted by episode 12. And yes, if your favorite's on this list, I'm not sorry. Let's get into it. Alright, let's start spicy because we're calling out Vincenzo. Yes, that Vincenzo. The drama that had everyone suddenly whispering Cassano like they were personally married to the mafia. Now, before you throw your corn salad at the screen, let's take a breath and be honest. Was Song Joong-ki looking like a whole imported Italian luxury item in a three-piece suit? Absolutely. Was the idea of a Korean-born consigliere serving vengeance with Catholic guilt and custom tailoring kinda brilliant? Yes. Did we all want to move into that plaza and start a bakery or something? Still yes. But once you get past the glossy opening, things get weird. Like, real weird. The tone was swinging harder than a toddler on espresso. One scene has people being set on fire in horrifying, gritty detail, and the next, we're doing wacky plaza hijinks with sound effects straight out of a 2003 sitcom. It's like The Godfather got possessed by the spirit of strong woman Do Bong-soon halfway through. And the villains? Oh, Tisian, we love you. We really do. But by episode 10, Jang Joon-woo felt less like a threat and more like a villain from Kim Possible. The dramatic eye twitches, the random bursts of violence, the maniacal laughter. I half expected him to start tying someone to a train track. Let's not forget the pacing either. 20 episodes and not all of them earned it. The middle third became a loop of chaos. Vincenzo threatens someone, quirky tenant shenanigans, courtroom plot twist, repeat until your brain dissolves. Now, is it fun? Yes. Does it have some iconic moments? Also yes. That lighter scene, the final revenge, the commentary on institutional corruption? All solid. But here's the thing, people talk about Vincenzo like it's a masterpiece. A flawless, genre-bending, high-art K-drama. Let's be real, it's not. It's a stylish fever dream with a great lead, fun moments, and a wildly uneven script that got away with it because it was wearing Prada and quoting Latin. So yeah, Vincenzo, be overrated. Entertaining? Absolutely. Legendary? Let's not lie to ourselves. Alright, let's talk about The King, Eternal Monarch, or as some fans now lovingly call it, The King, Confusion Eternal. B This drama had everything going for it on paper, Lee Min-ho's big comeback. A cinematic budget so big it made other dramas look like student films. Stunning cinematography, a parallel universe concept, and the legendary Kim Un-suk, Goblin, Descendants of the Sun, writing the script. Expectations weren't just high, they were stratospheric. And then it aired. And 3 episodes in, we were all collectively squinting at the screen like, wait, who is this again? What timeline are we in? Why is there a flute? The plot jumped between universes, timelines, doppelgangers, and exposition dumps like it was trying to win a speedrun challenge. It didn't explain anything, it just expected you to take notes like this was a college seminar on string theory. Let's talk characters. Lee Min-ho plays King Lee Gon, who's supposed to be this elegant, brilliant ruler carrying the weight of a kingdom and childhood trauma. But half the time, he felt more like a Dior mannequin learning how to emote mid-shoot. Yes, he's beautiful. Yes, his outfits were regal. But layered performance? Not exactly what we got. And Kim Go-eun, normally a powerhouse, was saddled with a character that somehow felt both overwritten and undercooked. Her police detective was smart but constantly sidelined, romantic but barely fleshed out, and we're still not sure what she actually wanted besides looking concerned in every scene. As for the romance? It had moments, sure. But the chemistry felt like it was microwaved. The kind where 2 beautiful leads must fall in love because the script says so. No build-up, no tension, just I've crossed dimensions for you after 3 conversations and a tragic backstory. And then there's the villain, Irim. He had so much potential to be a chilling, manipulative antagonist, but they kept him lurking in the shadows giving vague speeches about destiny like a K-drama version of Thanos' less effective cousin. Now, let's be fair. The production value was insane. That opening scene on the horse? Cinematic. The visuals? Poster-worthy. The concept? Genuinely ambitious. But concept isn't execution. The show wanted to be a mind-bending sci-fi romance, but it tripped over its own plot twists and ended up being a pretty but emotionally hollow jigsaw puzzle. It's not a bad drama. It's just not the drama. So yes, The King, Eternal Monarch was overhyped. Beautiful gowns, beautiful gowns. But give me a story I can follow without opening a whiteboard and red string. Let's get one thing out of the way. My demon had a fire premise. Literally. A cold, Rich CEO with walls higher than her penthouse teams up with a charming demon who loses his powers and needs her to survive? Yes. Inject that into my watch list. Add Song Kong with glowing tattoos that react when he touches her? Listen, we all wanted to be marked by that man. But then, reality hit harder than Guwon in a $5,000 suit. For all its glossy visuals and steamy setups, my demon ended up feeling like the drama equivalent of a really pretty dessert that tastes like air. It tried to be everything. Fantasy rom-com, chable drama, murder mystery, philosophical melodrama, and in the end, it was none of them. The tone? All over the place. You'd get whiplash going from demon lore and emotional trauma to quirky plaza hijinks and back to murder in the same episode. It was like the writers opened a Kdrama starter pack, threw every trope in, and hoped something would stick. Now let's talk about Song Kong, our walking cologne ad. Was he shirtless for most of the drama? Absolutely. Was it necessary? Probably not. Did it work? Listen, no complaints on the visuals. But acting-wise? It was 80% smirk, 15% eyebrow raise, and 5% dramatic pauses delivered like he was reciting skincare ingredients. He looked great. He just didn't sell the whole immortal demon in existential crisis thing. And then there's Kim Yoo-young, who was acting for her life. She brought depth, vulnerability, and actual emotion to Do-Do-Hee, and half the time it felt like she was carrying the weight of this entire production on her shoulders and in heels, no less. But even she couldn't save a script that felt like a remix of better fantasy dramas. Doom at your service? Hotel del Luna? Goblin? Yeah, my demon wanted what they had. But instead of borrowing themes, it just borrowed vibes, slapped on glowing tattoos, and hoped no one would notice. Also, can we talk about the pacing? This show dragged. By episode 10, we were deep in the flashback spiral, revisiting scenes we'd already seen, sometimes multiple times. Side plots bloomed and withered in the same episode. Every emotional climax? Predictable. And not in a comforting way in a wait, we're still doing this? Way. Was it pretty? Without question. Was it addictive in that I'll just watch one more kind of way? For some people, sure. But my demon was hyped as the fantasy rom-com of the year, and what we got was a Pinterest board of aesthetic moments, half-baked tropes, and a lot of shirtless Song Kong hoping to distract us from the fact that there just wasn't much there. Overrated? Come on. The man was shirtless for 60% of the drama and it still got boring. You tell me. Ah yes, Snowdrop, the drama that entered the K-drama scene not with a whisper but with a full-blown diplomatic incident. Let's set the stage. You've got Blackpink's Jisoo in her first-ever lead role. Young Hae-in, the reigning king of brooding, soulful stares. A star-crossed lovers set up during one of the most politically volatile moments in South Korean history? Yeah, expectations were sky-high. The hype was so loud you could hear the fandom collectively holding its breath before episode 1 even aired. And then, everything imploded. Let's address the historical grenade first. The drama takes place during the South Korean democratization movement, a period still sensitive and raw. But instead of handling it with nuance, Snowdrop decided to go full what if the real spies were the friends we made along the way? Suddenly, North Korean agents were getting tragic backstories, government agents were kinda hot, and the line between victim and villain got so blurry people started petitioning to cancel the show mid-airing. Sponsors pulled out. Viewers fought on every comment section like it was the DMZ. And honestly, the show never fully recovered. But even if you park the politics, which big if, let's talk storytelling. The pacing? Glacial. The plot? A beautiful mess in slow motion. Entire episodes were just people whispering in candlelight, crying in storage closets, and Jisoo patching up young Hae-in's wounds for the 47th time like she had stock and gauze. It was like a live-action loop. And speaking of Jisoo, she looked ethereal. Her styling? Impeccable. And you could see the effort. But let's be real, Snowdrop threw her into the deep end. Young Aro as a character had almost no agency, no logic, and no arc. And with Jisoo still finding her footing as an actress, the emotional beats just didn't land. You can't cry your way through poor writing, especially when the crying lasts 10 episodes. Meanwhile, young Hae-in? As always consistent. He did what he could. But when your character is stuck in a hostage situation for 90% of the runtime with minimal character development, there's only so much your cheekbones can carry. The real shame? Snowdrop had the cast, the aesthetic, and the potential to be a tragic, sweeping romance set against historical chaos. Instead, it couldn't decide if it wanted to be a political thriller or a Pinterest-ready melodrama, and it face-planted trying to do both. Is it the worst drama ever made? No. But was it sold to us like it was going to be the second coming of Descendants of the Sun? Absolutely. And for that level of expectation. Snowdrop just didn't bloom. Overrated? Oh, it's snowing exaggeration in here. All right. Deep breath. Goblin, yes, the Goblin. The sacred text of K-drama Tumblr. The reason half the world started searching how to cry aesthetically in the snow. It's iconic, no doubt. The cinematography? Drop-dead gorgeous. The OST? Still causing emotional damage in public spaces. And the cast? Gong Yoo, Kim Go-eun, Lee Dong-wook, Yoo In-na. It's the Avengers of brooding and beautiful. But now that we've all unclenched from 2016 and the snow has melted, let's have the conversation. Goblin is overrated. Not bad, not terrible, but certainly not the flawless masterpiece the internet swore it was. Let's start with the romance. A 939-year-old immortal warrior falling in love with a high school senior? I don't care how many maple leaves you throw at it or how many poetic lines Gong Yoo delivers. It's still weird. The show tries to fix it with time jumps and age-ups, but the foundation is shaky at best and deeply uncomfortable at worst. Then there's the pacing, which was tragically allergic to editing. This drama moves slower than the Grim Reaper filling out paperwork. Entire episodes are just people walking slowly in beautiful coats while violin solos scream at the sky. You could take a power nap mid-scene and still wake up before the plot moved an inch. Oh, and speaking of plot, what even were the rules? The sword? The reincarnations? The villains who disappear for 7 episodes and then suddenly show up like, hey, I'm evil again. It was like the writers were making lore up in real time and praying the OST would distract us. And let's talk about the dialogue. Yes, it was poetic. Yes, it made great Pinterest quotes. But my God, every conversation felt like it was written by someone who only speaks in metaphors and moonlight. Sometimes you just want someone to say, hey, are you okay? Not deliver a monologue about fate, loss, and the shape of eternity. But none of that mattered in the moment, because Goblin was a vibe. It came during peak Kdrama fever. It gave us a bromance for the ages, some tearjerker scenes that still haunt your sleep, and that one shot of Gong Yoo smiling in the snow that launched 1,000 fan edits. It hit hard the first time. But go back now? Rewatch it with fresh eyes and you'll see it, the cracks in the perfection, the bloated middle episodes, the strange narrative choices that we all just kind of ignored. So yeah, it's still emotional, still stylish, still one hell of a production. But Goblin is also indulgent, overwritten, and desperately needed a tighter edit. And that, my friend, is the definition of a beautifully overrated legend. Okay, deep breath. Before anyone starts typing you just hate fun, in the comments, let me say it loud and clear, I enjoyed Business Proposal. It's fun. It's flirty. It's fried chicken and product placement. And at one point, I did consider marrying the second lead couple and living happily ever after in Kdrama B-plot land. But when people start throwing around words like best rom-com in K-drama history, it's time to log off, take a walk, and touch grass. Because Business Proposal is overrated. Let's break it down. This show is basically a 2004 Wattpad fanfic with a 2022 budget. You've got your chaebol CEO, your quirky employee, the fake dating, the secret identities, the accidental kisses, the I'm not like other girls energy. It's a checklist of rom-com clichés played with zero irony and even less innovation. And don't get me wrong, clichés can work. But Business Proposal doesn't reinvent or elevate them. It just reheats them and adds a cherry blossom filter. Let's talk characters. On Hyoseop? Gorgeous, obviously. But Kang Tae-moo is the human embodiment of a LinkedIn profile picture. He's rich, robotic, and occasionally wounded by his tragic CEO past, but there's no real complexity there. He's just hot man in suit. Shinhari? Adorable. Relatable. She's got charm for days. But her entire arc is basically please don't find out I lied about being a corporate spy on your blind date. There's zero growth. Zero self-reflection. Just 12 episodes of dodging consequences and getting kissed under mood lighting. And the pacing? Unhinged. Major plot twists fly by like the drama is on a tight deadline. Trauma? Fixed in a 2-minute speech. Disapproving grandma? Won over with seafood. And the big identity reveal? Had all the emotional weight of a YouTube prank. And sure, the show's fun. It's cute. It's the K-drama version of a vanilla latte with whipped cream and heart sprinkles. But calling it a top-tier rom-com is like calling a Happy Meal fine dining. You don't remember Business Proposal because of the plot. You remember it because your brain needed serotonin and this drama delivered it with cartoon hearts and CGI petals. So no, it's not bad. But best of the decade? Let's not give grilled cheese a Michelin star. Ah yes, startup. The K-drama that sparked more online chaos than crypto Twitter during a market crash. Team Doosan versus Team Ji-pyong? It was the Avengers Civil War of K-drama fandom. People were out here ending friendships over this show like it was a national election. But here's the real twist. All that noise was a smokescreen, because the real truth The one no one wanted to admit while they were busy yelling in Instagram comments. Is this? Startup is one of the most overrated K-dramas of the past decade. Let's rewind. The hype was wild. Nam Joo-hyuk, Suzy, Shin Hye-in from Six Flying Dragons. A startup incubator in the heart of Seoul's Silicon Valley? We were promised HBO-level business intrigue meets K-drama romance. What we got? A love triangle in a co-working space and some of the fakest tech scenes known to man. Let's talk characters. Let's start with the characters. Seo Dalmi had potential. She's ambitious, driven, and trying to live up to the image of a father she lost too young. But the writing didn't trust her enough to let her lead the story. Instead, she gets bounced around between male characters who can't seem to make a decision unless it involves her as a prize. And Nam Do-san, I'm sorry, this man is not leading man material. He starts out as an awkward, insecure coder which could have been compelling if we saw real growth. But nope, by the end, he's still relying on others to clean up his emotional messes. Yet somehow, the story bends over backwards to make him the hero. Meanwhile, Han Ji-pyong, the actual adult in the room, gets emotionally sidelined, despite carrying the show on his sarcastic, second lead back. And what does he get? Sidelined, emotionally wrecked, friend-zoned by the universe. And don't even get me started on the tech side of this startup drama. This show treats coding and business strategy like fairy dust. Oh no, our app doesn't work. 5-minute montage. Viola. Success. They pitch entire companies with PowerPoint slides that say nothing. A grandma learns blockchain overnight. It's Shark Tank, fanfiction edition. Look, the first episode's hit. The family story, emotional. Dalmi's grandma, national treasure. The early nostalgia, real. But once the love triangle takes over, the plot implodes like a badly coded app. The story abandons its themes, the pacing goes haywire, and by the end, we're watching a shallow drama wearing a business casual blazer, pretending it's smart. Was it fun? Sometimes. Did it look good? Sure. But the way people hyped this like it was Itaewon Class meets Silicon Valley? Criminal. So no, startup isn't bad. But overrated? In every possible way. Let's be honest. King the Land wasn't a drama. It was a fan edit with a budget. It had Lee Jun-ho, serving chaebol realness with the world's most expensive smolder, and Yoon-ae, radiating goddess-level charm like she was born under a soft-focus lens. The visuals? Immaculate. The acting? Solid. But the plot? Sweetie, what plot? This drama came into 2023 dressed like a rom-com but showed up with the emotional depth of a hotel towel. It looked luxurious, had top-tier idol leads, and was hyped like the second coming of Full House. But beneath the surface? It was 16 episodes of vibes, nothing else. Let's break it down. We've seen the rich CEO plus bubbly employee dynamic a million times. And that's okay, tropes are tropes for a reason. But King the Land didn't add anything new. Instead, it stripped the trope for parts and padded it with sponsored coffee dates, CGI sparkles, and enough workplace violations to shut down an actual hotel. Junho's character? Supposedly cold, guarded, emotionally traumatized from his mother disappearing. In reality? Soft as melted tiramisu. His biggest conflict was deciding whether or not to smile in public. Yoon-ae's sarang? Adorable, yes. And Yoon-ae's charm is undeniable. But the character was written like a Pinterest board. Her mom's storyline, which could have been deeply emotional, was used as dramatic wallpaper, then resolved like a checkout process. Quick, automated, and zero tears. The workplace setting? A hotel in name only. This could have taken place in a coffee shop and nothing would have changed. And the romance? Yes, they're stunning together. Yes, their chemistry is undeniable. But chemistry doesn't equal a compelling love story. They spent 70% of the drama staring at each other, while the soundtrack screamed, "This is romantic," and the rest having the same conversation 5 times in 5 different scenic locations. Also, the villain subplot? Laughed out loud. Corporate intrigue was tossed in like garnish on an overcooked dish. Evil uncles, boardroom takeovers. None of it mattered, and none of it landed. By the finale, it was clear. King the Land wasn't building to anything. There was no climax, no payoff. Just a sparkly montage of smiling faces and some product placement to send you on your way. And yet, it was everywhere. Netflix numbers through the roof. People on Twitter declaring it the healing drama of the year. Junho and Yoon-ae trended every Sunday like it was their wedding. Look, if you loved it, great. No shame in liking fluff. But let's not confuse enjoyable with exceptional. King the Land was a beautiful distraction. A pretty screensaver. A slideshow of soft smiles, back hugs, and let's meet on the rooftop at sunset energy. Overrated? Like, royalty level overrated. Now I know what you're thinking, Love Next Door? That little healing rom-com with Young So-min and Young Hae-in? How could something so soft be this high on an overrated list? Simple, because I was promised romance and comedy and it delivered neither. Let's start with the comedy because wow, what comedy. The show calls itself a rom-com, but half the funny scenes felt like filler sketches written during a coffee break. We're talking stale jokes, awkward physical gags, and timing so off you could hear the punchlines flatline in real time. It's like the script had a checkbox labeled make them laugh and just forgot to tick it. And the romance, oh the romance. Young So-min and Young Hae-in had real, undeniable chemistry. But this script took that golden opportunity, wrapped it in bubble wrap and buried it under 3 feet of bland dialogue and weird pacing. The best friends to lovers trope is usually foolproof, but somehow this show made it feel like a group project between 2 coworkers who just met that morning. By the time the female lead confesses her feelings, there's no emotional tension. No payoff. Just soft background music and a vague sense of wait, are we doing this now? Even the attempt at a healing, slice-of-life vibe fell flat. These kinds of dramas only work if the characters feel real, like actual people with interior lives. But Love Next Door gave us flat personalities, surface-level emotions, and deep conversations that read like self-help quotes from Pinterest. Let's be real, the only truly relatable character was the younger brother who was so annoying he unlocked a core childhood memory for me. He reminded me of my actual sibling, loud, nosy, and always one bad mood away from being told to go play outside. And the mom? Started off strict but well-meaning and then slowly morphed into the drama's secret villain. Petty, jealous, emotionally manipulative, like if Cinderella's stepmother had a wellness blog. Oh, and because the writers clearly weren't sure how to build actual conflict, they dropped in not 1 but 2 exes, turning the show into a weird little love pentagon. It didn't add spice, it diluted everything. Instead of raising the stakes, it pulled attention away from the only relationship we cared about, and even that one was hanging on by a thread. Honestly, the only moment that really worked? A flashback scene with the child actors. That's it. That one 5-minute scene had more emotional honesty than the entire adult storyline. Love Next Door is the classic case of wasted potential. It had the cast, the setup, the vibes, but none of the follow-through. And yet it's been praised like it's some underrated masterpiece of quiet romance. It's not. It's a beige blanket of a drama, soft, warm, and completely forgettable. Overrated? More like aggressively overcelebrated. Yep, we're doing it. Queen of Tears, the K-drama that dominated Netflix, caused a nationwide tissue shortage and had fans editing black and white TikToks with the caption "This ruined me" is the most overrated K-drama in recent memory. And before the K-Nation sends me passive-aggressive texts in the group chat. Yes, it was pretty. Yes, Kim Soo-hyun and Kim Ji-won had chemistry so potent it could power Seoul. Yes, it made people feel things. But being emotionally effective doesn't mean you get a free pass from storytelling accountability. Let's unpack. The setup at first? Brilliant. A marriage in ruins. A couple too broken to communicate but too in love to let go. That's real, raw adult-level drama. The kind of emotionally mature premise that makes you sit up and say, finally, something with teeth. But Queen of Tears looked us in the eye, handed us that setup, and then immediately chucked it in the blender with every Mac-Jang trope known to man. Suddenly we're juggling corporate backstabbing, illness plots, amnesia, surprise birth secrets, a villain monologue every 3.5 scenes. And oh yeah, a criminal syndicate masquerading as a hedge fund? It stopped being a story about a marriage and became a K-drama Mad Libs with luxury coats and lingering stares. Let's talk Baek Hyun-woo. When the show started, he was a respected lawyer, a man standing on the edge of a marriage he wasn't sure he could save. By episode 8, he's a professional crier. I'm talking waterworks at dawn, midday sob sessions, and Olympic-level weeping on command. Someone give this man a Gatorade and a nap. And listen, I'm here for emotionally available men. I love them. But it felt like the writers didn't know what else to do with him. So they just turned on the faucet and told Kim Soo-hyun to go nuts. Now Hae-in, on paper, was a dream role. Sharp, cold, emotionally armored. She was the human embodiment of a glass of ice water in a designer blazer. But then came the memory loss. The illness arc. The damsel editing software downloaded into her character overnight. She deserved to be a hurricane. Instead, the show stuck her in a hospital gown and dimmed the lights on her entire personality. You could make a drinking game out of Queen of Tears villain reveals and not make it to episode 14 sober. There was the mustache-twirling uncle. The stone-faced assistant with 12 different revenge plots. And the evil CEO who literally said, "I want to become a god." Was this Queen of Tears or Death Note with Botox? Every time the story needed tension, instead of deepening the emotional conflict, it just brought in another villain. It felt like Avengers, Infinity War, but for Chable betrayals. After all that drama, the deaths, the schemes, the comas, the exile, the crying montages set to string quartets, we get a finale that politely tucks us into bed. Everything wraps up with a bow. The villains are neutralized like expired coupons. Our leads get their picture-perfect ending with a child and a puppy and probably a Pinterest board. Did it feel satisfying? To some. Did it feel earned? Not really. It's like watching a house burn for 15 episodes and then having the fire department show up with glitter instead of water. Queen of Tears is not a bad drama. It's entertaining. It gave us memes, meltdowns. But was it a well-written, cohesive masterpiece deserving of best K-drama of the decade status? Absolutely not. It was a glossy, emotionally manipulative roller coaster that got high off its own tears and forgot to check the script. Overrated? Honey, it set the bar. And there you have it, 10 K-dramas that might have looked like gold at first glance, but don't exactly shine on rewatch. Some of these were global hits. Some were fandom darlings. Some had actors working overtime to save scripts that were clearly running on fumes. And listen, enjoying these dramas isn't a crime. Comfort watches are valid. Nostalgia is real. But let's not confuse hype with quality. Overrated doesn't mean unwatchable. It just means, let's stop pretending these were flawless masterpieces when half the time we were fast-forwarding through monologues and skipping to the kissing scenes. Now I want to know, which K-drama do you think is wildly overrated? Which one do you secretly love, even if everyone else has turned on it? Drop your hot takes in the comments. And be nice, but not too nice. This is a safe space for spicy opinions. And if you like this video, hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on the bell, because we've got more drama to unpack. Here's to the K-dramas that looked like gold and turned out to be glitter glued to mediocrity. Until next time. Stream wisely, rewatch cautiously, and remember, just because it trended doesn't mean it aged well.